Well, I guess I'm gonna have to drive then.
Good roll by 40. Good on 40. Alright, so okay. What's that on? What's that? Can you bring the 3,000 up to me so I can get my lunch box? Stop at 3,000. Roger.
She disappeared down the hallway. My mother's facade dropped. All right, Jennifer. Why did you really ask us here? Is this about money? My hands trembled as I set down my fork. Yes, I admit it. But not in the way you think. My father's expression darkened. If this is about alimony, we've told you before. It's not about the divorce, I interrupted, my voice barely above a whisper. It's about Megan. What about her? Amanda asked, speaking for the first time since the meal began. The words caught in my throat. Saying it aloud made it real in a way I wasn't prepared for. But I had to. For Megan. Megan has cancer, I said, the statement hanging in the air like a physical presence. Medulloblastoma. It's a brain tumor. The silence that followed was deafening. My father's expression remained unchanged, but my mother's eyes narrowed slightly. The doctors say it's aggressive, but treatable. She has a good chance, but... I paused, swallowing hard. The treatment is expensive. My insurance doesn't cover everything, and I've already depleted my savings for the initial tests and consultations. I drew a deep breath, my hands shaking uncontrollably now. I need your help. Whatever you can contribute, we'd be so grateful. It could make the difference between Megan getting the best possible care or... I couldn't finish the sentence. The alternative was unthinkable. My mother's face hardened, her lips pressing into a thin line. Oh, so that's why you called us? Sorry, we don't have anything to spare. Her words hit me like a physical blow. What? You heard me, she continued, her voice cold. We're on a fixed income now. Your father's retirement isn't as generous as we'd hoped. My gaze shifted to Amanda, silently pleading. She avoided my eyes, focusing instead on smoothing an invisible wrinkle from her napkin. Amanda, please, I said, desperation creeping into my voice. She tossed her napkin onto the table and scoffed, I'm finished. Shall we go now? Her voice was detached, as if we were discussing a mildly unpleasant dinner party, not my daughter's life. Bradley? I turned to my brother-in-law, who at least...
In 2 miles, take exit 8 onto Pennsylvania 423 toward Toby.
Investments right now. It's not a good time. He remained silent throughout the exchange, his face an unmutable mask. Now he cleared his throat. How much are we talking about? A flicker of hope ignited in my chest. The gap between what insurance covers and the total cost will be around $250,000. I'm not asking for all of it, just... His fist slammed against the table, making the dishes jump. That's enough. The sudden violence of the gesture startled me into silence. This is exactly why we told you not to divorce Richard, my father continued, his voice dangerously quiet. A woman alone can't provide stability. Now you come to us with your hand out, expecting us to clean up your mess. My mess? I stared at him in disbelief. Dad, this is cancer. It's not something I chose or caused. If you were still with Richard, you'd have better insurance, my mother interjected. Or at least a second income. Your choices have consequences, Jennifer. My voice trembled as I pleaded, please. Just something. Anything would help. The sound of Megan's footsteps in the hallway silenced our conversation. She appeared in the doorway, clutching her science project, a meticulously crafted model of the ocean floor. Look what I made, she announced.
Use the right lane to take exit 8 onto Pennsylvania 423 toward Toby.
Communication passing between them. I think we should be going, my mother finally said, standing up. It's getting late. But you just got here, Megan protested, her smile faltering. Don't you want to see my project?
Take the exit, then take the first right onto Prospect Street.
Tomorrow. I watched in stunned silence.
At the stop sign, turn right onto Prospect Street toward Pennsylvania 611.
Our parents to the door. Bradley Thompson mumbled something that might have been an apology, but it was lost in the shuffle of their hasty departure. The door closed behind them with a definitive click. Did I do something wrong? Megan asked, her voice small. The model ocean floor trembled slightly in her hands. No, sweetheart, I assured her, pulling her into a hug and fighting back tears.
At the next stop sign, turn left.
They forgot about. They loved seeing you. I tucked her into bed that night with a story about brave sea creatures who fought against ocean pollution, her favorite being nightly. As she drifted off to sleep, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at nothing, the weight of our future crushing down on me. The treatments began the following week. I took a leave of absence from my job as an administrative assistant at a local accounting firm. The pay wasn't great, but they held my position and continued my health insurance, a blessing I hadn't anticipated. Megan faced the first round of chemotherapy with remarkable courage. It's just medicine that makes you feel yucky.
Then take the first right onto Oak Street.
Within 2 weeks of starting treatment, Megan's hair began falling out in clumps on her pillow. I bought her colorful scarves and helped her decorate her head with temporary tattoos, which she proudly displayed to the other children in the oncology ward. Between hospital visits and care...
Turn right onto Oak Street. Then turn left onto Goodwin Street.
I applied for assistance programs, set up a crowdfunding page.
Turn right onto Church Street. Then turn right.
Up.
The medical
Straight.
bills continue to pile up
Straight, damn it.
alongside past due
Go,
notices for
go,
our
go,
rent
go.
and
I'm going
utilities.
straight. Go,
Through a
go, go,
mutual
go.
friend, I heard that Amanda's son Jackson had been accepted to Westfield Academy, an exclusive private school with an annual tuition exceeding $40,000. Their daughter Emily was already enrolled there. The news came like a slap across the face. My sister had
In
claimed
3/4 of a mile, turn left onto Half Arnold Boulevard.
One of the most expensive schools in the state. I tried calling my parents again, this time with specific details about Megan's prognosis and treatment plan. My mother cut me off before I could finish. Jennifer, we've made our position clear, she said. We simply don't have the resources to help you. Perhaps you should consider more. Economical treatment options. Economical treatment options. As if I were shopping for a used car instead of fighting for my daughter's life. The truth came to me through an unlikely source. Mrs. Peterson, my parents' longtime neighbor, stopped by the hospital one afternoon with a homemade casserole and words of encouragement. As we sat in the hallway outside Megan's room, she mentioned how generous my parents had been lately. Walter was just telling George about helping with the grandchildren's education, she said, referring to her husband. Private school for Amanda's 2 kids. Can you imagine? He mentioned setting aside nearly $200,000 for their educational trust. Your parents have always been so generous. Mrs. Peterson, I asked carefully, did my father mention anything about helping Megan? Her expression turned confused. Well, no, dear. I assumed they were helping both their grandchildren. Isn't Megan attending private school too? My blood ran cold. No, Mrs. Peterson. Megan is here, in the hospital. She has brain cancer. The poor woman's face crumpled in horror. Oh, Jennifer, I had no idea. Walter never mentioned. I just assumed when he talked about supporting the grandchildren. They were lying to me. After Mrs. Peterson left, I called a former colleague who now worked at First National Bank, where my father had been a board member before his retirement. A few discreet inquiries confirmed what I already suspected. My parents were far from the fixed income situation they had claimed. In fact, my father had recently made a substantial withdrawal, exactly $80,000, enough to cover a year's tuition for both Jackson and Emily at Westfield Academy. They had the money. They simply didn't think Megan's life was worth spending it on. The rage I felt was unlike anything I'd experienced before, a white-hot fury that momentarily overrode even my fear for Megan. I wanted to confront them immediately, to scream and demand answers. But Megan needed me, and I couldn't waste energy on a confrontation that would likely lead nowhere. Instead, I channeled my anger into determination. I took on freelance work that I could do from Megan's hospital room. I sold everything of value I owned. I moved us to a smaller apartment to reduce our rent. Every cent went toward Megan's treatment. The hospital became our second home. Days blended into nights in the sterile fluorescence of the pediatric oncology ward. I befriended other parents trapped in the same nightmare. Lisa, whose 4-year-old son battled leukemia. Marcus, a single father whose teenage daughter had bone cancer. And Sophia, whose twins both carried a rare genetic mutation that had manifested as matching tumors at the age of 6. We formed an accidental family. Holding each other up when standing alone became impossible. How do you do it? Sophia asked me one evening in the parents' lounge, as we shared a pot of terrible hospital coffee. Stay so strong for Megan, I mean. I considered her question, turning my foam cup between my palms. I'm not strong, I admit it. I fall apart every time I step into the bathroom or the hallway where she can't see me. That's exactly what makes you strong, Marcus interjected, his eyes rimmed with exhaustion.
What's wrong?
You save your strength for when she... One Tuesday afternoon, while Megan napped Ashen, I found myself in the hospital chapel. I wasn't related to the pew beside me with a sigh that seemed to come from his very core.
I can always
Mind
pick
some
you up,
company?
too.
We sat in companionable room. I found her awake and chatting animatedly with Lisa's son, Tommy. They had spread their collection of hospital wristbands across the bed and were comparing colors. Mom, Megan exclaimed when she saw me. Tommy got a purple one yesterday. I told him purple is the rarest. Super rare, I agreed, winking at Tommy, who beamed despite the pallor of his skin. We're starting a club, Megan informed me. The Brave Kids Club. Only kids with cancer can join, but we might make an exception for Tommy's baby sister because she brings him here every day, and that takes bravery too. I swallowed hard, amazed once again by my daughter's capacity for joy in the midst of such suffering. That sounds like an excellent club. What does membership involve? You have to promise 3 things. Megan held up her fingers as she listed the rules. 1. No crying when you get pokes, even if it hurts really bad. 2. Always share your dessert if someone else doesn't get one. And 3. No feeling sorry for yourself, because that just makes everyone sad. Tommy nodded solemnly in agreement. And we're making badges, he added. Miss Carroll from the art therapy room is helping us. For a moment, I glimpsed the world through their eyes, a place where colored wristbands were collector's items and the worst thing that could happen was missing dessert. Their resilience humbled me. That night, after Tommy had returned to his own room and Megan had finally drifted off to sleep, I curled up in the uncomfortable recliner beside her bed and allowed myself to imagine a future where we left this place behind. Where Megan grew up, graduated high school, fell in love, pursued her dreams. A future that seemed simultaneously within reach and impossibly distant. For a while, it seemed to be working. 3 months into treatment, the tumor responded, shrinking enough that her doctors expressed cautious optimism. Despite her hair loss and the other side effects of chemotherapy, Megan maintained her spirit. She decorated her head with colorful scarves and temporary tattoos that made the other children in the oncology ward smile. "We're ocean warriors," she told a younger patient who was crying after a particularly rough treatment. "Sometimes the waves knock us down, but we always get back up." The reprieve was short-lived. 6 months into treatment, Megan's symptoms returned with a vengeance. The tumor was growing again, more aggressively this time. "We need to try a more intensive approach," Dr. Larson explained, his face grave. "There's a specialized treatment center in Boston that has had success with cases like Megan's, but..." "But what?" I pressed. "It's experimental. Your insurance definitely won't cover it, and the out-of-pocket costs are substantial." "How substantial?" When he named the figure, $250,000, my heart sank. It might as well have been $1 billion. Desperate, I swallowed my pride and went to my parents' house unannounced. I waited on their porch for 2 hours until they returned from what appeared to be a shopping trip, judging by the bags from upscale stores. "Jennifer?" My mother's surprise quickly morphed into irritation. "What are you doing here?" "We need to talk," I said, standing my ground. "About Megan." "There's nothing to discuss," my father interjected, moving to unlock the front door. "We've made our position clear." "I know about the money," I blurted out. "The educational trust for Amanda's kids. The tuition payments to Westfield Academy for Jackson and Emily." They froze, exchanging a look I couldn't interpret. "I don't know what you're talking about," my mother said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Please," I said, hating the desperation in my voice but beyond caring about pride. "Megan's getting worse. There's a treatment center in Boston that could help her, but I can't afford it. I'm not asking for a handout. I'll pay back."